Moving on to NCAA, the football game. Players are opting out of EA Sports reincarnation of NCAA football. Now, EA Sports, they want to use the player's name, image, and likeness as opposed to, like I said in the intro, the random numbers, blank jerseys. But the athletes are being urged by the Players Association to boycott if the money is not there. So you're kind of going to read with me kind of in real time here as I scan through some of this. I got some info earlier, but I've been trying to just figure out things here. A lot of this is being reported. It's being aggregated all over the place, but I think a lot of it comes from On3, is almost the original source for a lot of this. But the College Football Players Association, the CFPA, there you are, is urging eligible players to boycott the use of their likeness in the new video game, citing the amount of compensation players would get. Basically saying, hey, you guys are not getting paid enough. Please come together. The problem with that is, I mean, there's so many problems. When you really think about it, there are so many problems with paying players for this because do you just have a flat rate? Here's $500 in a hypothetical situation. $500 has been floated around in here. Here's $500 to every player that will be featured, which would be D1, I'm assuming. Just D1 FBS, maybe? You're telling me that Caleb Williams and Quinn Ewers and, you know, all these big-time names are going to receive $500. Well, no offense to the other guys that have not seen a single snap on college football and FBS, probably all great players, great people, they don't garner the same market as these big-time quarterbacks and, you know what I mean, these big-time players that have kind of associated their name with these programs. So if you have a flat rate, you're certainly going to be robbing. You're going to be hearing from the agents of some of these big-time players. They're definitely not going to opt in. So then you say, okay, what kind of sliding scale do you pay? Then how do you determine it, right? How do you determine a player's value? And that's the really hard part about NIL and these brand deals. That's why they have these people representing them for these matters, these agents, these legislators, because it's hard to market yourself. I mean, I try to do it all the time for this freaking show. It's tough. It's really tough to show other people your worth. Now, they get to do it on Saturdays when they throw the ball around. I get to do it behind a microphone. It's a lot easier than being quarterback. But really, the truth remains, how do you determine the value of a player? So say, okay, Caleb Williams is my example. He's won a Heisman. He might do it again at a big-time program with a lot of attention geographically and just in the state of today's game. Do you pay him, $10,000? And then do you determine it on those bench players? Have you even gotten in the game? Okay, no, you haven't played in the game, you get 150. Like, there are so many logistics and things of that nature. My brain kind of hurts thinking about it. I do not want to be the person in charge of that once again. Also, when you think about that, that's a slippery slope because how much is EA paying? Would it almost be better to just leave it out or maybe just buy a certain list of players' likenesses, the ones that people are going to definitely want? Then again, where do you draw the line? What player is just important enough and what player is just not that important that they do not need to be included on that list? A lot of questions today for myself, and unfortunately no one to answer them except for maybe you yelling at your screen. But, so this is a quote from one team partners who EA Sports contracted for NIL use in the game from their website. It says, if it's not possible to identify individual sales, like in the case of video games, then revenue will be divided equally among the athletes included in each licensing program. What? So that goes back to the flat payment. Everyone gets an equal piece of the pie. That's not fucking fair. There's no way kids are going to sign up for that. At least the kids who should be earning a larger chunk. And I will add too, those are the guys that in reality are going to have the most leverage in this situation because when you boot up NCAA 24 or whatever the hell it is, you want to play as dude X, Y, and Z most likely, right? Unless you go and create your own little player or whatever, that's, your own thing. But On3 reported players could earn $500 each, which the CFBPA criticized for being too low. They said, quote, all current players should boycott this deal. It is an opt-in deal, and they should just not opt into it. It's just a ridiculously low amount of money. Justin Falsanini, former Clemson center and vice president of CFBPA, told On3. Fair point. You should not participate in this, he says straight up. It is a simple cash grab to just try and get you for the lowest amount possible, and it's one team partners in all these organizations that don't really represent the player's best interest. I can understand that. I mean, he's part of the College Football Players Association. Now, the thing is, even boycotting against this could be really hard for the same reason as I mentioned earlier, because some of these kids don't deserve $500, right? And you're going to have to tell a lot of kids, not singular, plural, a lot of kids to turn down a free $500 to be in their favorite video game growing up. Again, the big time guys, not going to be hard to convince. They want a larger piece of the pie, a larger cut. But to tell all of these kids who have made it to Division I football, who maybe haven't played the snaps they want to yet, but grew up playing these NCAA games, we will hand you $500 right now, and your name, you'll be able to play as yourself in this video game. Shoot, you can go in there and transfer, you can get yourself NIL deals, you can make yourself the starter, whatever. Trying to get everybody on board with that is going to be hell. That's going to be a nightmare. Just speaking as an outsider, well, maybe not so outsider. I'm a football player. I'm just not a D1. I don't think any of you are going to be playing as Kobe Manzo in NCAA. But if any of you do, create a little custom roster. Shoot it my way, huh? But that's just pretty crazy. And I think that's going to be their biggest problem, is trying to convince these kids to actually boycott and say no to a borderline free $500 and to get yourself in a video game. I would do it in a heartbeat. But then again, I'm not competing for a Heisman Trophy. So that is what it is. Falcinelli said he explored, this is the Clemson Center, he explored how much NFL players were paid for their likeness in the Madden franchise. So probably the closest comparison, he could find. Granted, a very different level, professional ball players here. Found out players were paid around $17,000 in recent years. $17K to be in Madden? Wow. I didn't know that's buku bucks. That's big money. I will add, though, 32 teams in the NFL, 55-man roster, whatever it is. That is much less than you're talking just D1 FBS. That is much less than college football. Now, 17 grand is a lot of money per player. And I have to wonder if that's just a flat rate for everybody. It might be, because they're pro ball players, and that's just something that, is in your contract. It might be in the contract. It would be not a real surprise to me if you showed up when you signed that NFL deal that you're signing away your rights to Madden and EA Sports and that side. I don't know. There could be something like that. It's crazy. Like, not a great analogy, but stick with me. I work in our marketing, photo, and video department here at Northern Michigan on campus. And one of the things you sign as an incoming student basically gives Northern the right to use your likeness in university promotional material. So if you see me around campus and I have a camera and I snap a picture of you, congrats, pal. You might be on the Instagram tomorrow. And you actually can't say anything about it because of something that you signed in the past. So maybe not that bad of an analogy. I mean, that sounds pretty like apples to apples to me. Albeit there's much less money on the line.